Okay, everybody, I just want to give you some information or at least some guidance on thinking about your controversial topic. As you've noticed, if you go to Blackboard, you'll see controversial topic examples based off of your major. And so things like anthropology, biology, child development. Now, the way that we should be thinking about the controversial topic. So you have the controversial topic itself, like gun control or federal use of Native American lands, or let's look at like militarization of police forces, right? So militarization of police forces is the basic topic, but then the next thing you have to think about is, all right, so what is the question that you want to ask? What is the question that you're trying to look at? What is the debate? Because the whole point of picking a controversial topic is that in some way you're going to analyze both sides of the issue. You'll analyze why there should or should not be militarization of police forces. In that case, specifically talking about that topic, whether or not we should still have the 1033 program that gives that the Defense Department gives surplus military equipment to police forces. So, should or should not the 1033 program continue in terms of militarization of the police forces or giving the police military equipment? So it's, should the United States continue the 1033 program, for example? Or let's say that we're talking about the use of performance enhancing drugs in professional sports, for instance, in kinesiology. Like, should athletes, professional athletes, be allowed to use performance enhancing drugs? And so that would be the question. So the idea is the use of PED in professional sports, but then the question specifically is, should performance enhancing drugs be allowed in professional sports? Because then you can frame the question, you can frame the debate as, there are those who agree that performance enhancing drugs should be allowed and those who disagree. And you'll be able to analyze in detail what those arguments are. Why do people say that there should be performance enhancing drugs in professional sports? Why should that be allowed? Or people who argue why it shouldn't be allowed. So you want to be able to have a clash. There needs to be some sort of debate. So whatever topic or question that you bring up, there needs to be some sort of debate there. So that being said, there's a couple of things that I would encourage you to avoid. Like, avoid just like the abortion debate in terms of, whether or not abortion should stay legal. That's been talked about over and over and over and over again. It's not going to go anywhere. It's a boring argument. It's not interesting. It's going to keep coming there. But what you can do is whether or not crisis pregnancy centers should be funded over, for instance, Planned Parenthood. That's an interesting debate. Another one is like climate change or global warming, whether or not global warming exists. The jury's in on that. Now, the more interesting question would be like, well, what to do about climate change? Should the United States get back into the Paris Accords? Should they not? Should the United States have a federal cap and trade bill, or should they not? Or the other one that's a big one is like vaccines. Do vaccines cause autism? Forget that. Don't do that. That's another one that, shouldn't be entertained just because the jury is in on that. It doesn't. But what could be interesting is, particularly in this time of coronavirus and the anti-vaxxers, the anti-vaxxing movement, what would be interesting is, should the government mandate vaccinations, particularly for children? So whether or not there should be government mandated vaccinations, that's an interesting question, as opposed to whether or not vaccines cause autism. So those are some interesting ways of formulating a question. So you don't necessarily have to feel like you're doing something kind of generic. And I want to keep in mind that this is not an exhaustive list. These are just suggestions of, if you're stuck, here's some places where people have gone before, and here's some things that you may find interesting. So that's what I want to encourage you to do when you're thinking about what should be your controversial topic. And then I'll be able, once you fill out the form, you should be able to get some feedback from me on what I think about it and where it should and where you could possibly go with it. So that's my guidelines. That's kind of the advice I have for this assignment, and I'll be able to talk to you soon.